Guys, do you have any questions that you want to ask? Can we have anyone? Faham tak semua ni? Can you see the overall thing that Hart is trying to tell you guys about the legal system? Tak ada respon. Eh, 24 orang dalam ni. Do you have any questions that you want to ask? We are not going to start if you don't ask me questions. Because I want to gauge your understanding. So your question is very important. Anyone who wants to start? So you boleh nampak law Hart's position when it comes to morality. It is not what? It is the same as Austin or what?
Sir,
Yeah.
from your question, I think Hart's view, even though he is a positivist, but his view is kind of different from Austin.
Okay. Good. So different. Obviously, it is different from Austin. But some people would like to maintain that he is a positivist. So a positivist does not look at morality. So that is where some of us are wrong in terms of his view in terms of morality. So any questions that you want to ask about the document? From reading the document, you can refer to pages and then what paragraph, what sentence, you know, you can do that. Let's scrutinize the document in order for us to ensure that we understand what was being stated in the article.
Sir,
Yeah, Atika.
I have a question from the sentence in page 689.
689, okay, 689. Let me go through 689. Where are you? Eh, all right,
Okay, on the second line,
second line, okay.
it mentioned that Hart emphasizes that law is morally relevant, but it is not morally conclusive.
Mm-mm.
So does that mean that Hart in some way also views that law should include morality?
Yes, as already mentioned in the above, in the argument that the writer has mentioned, uh, obvious, it is pretty obvious, where Hart is saying that it is not conclusive, meaning we don't have to go to the extent of natural law juries that everything must be based on natural law. He says that yeah, we can take it up as morality is secondary. I cannot be saying secondary. Nanti you confuse with primary and secondary. It is uh, underlying, yeah, underlying concept behind the principle that he or the model that he is saying about his legal system. So his legal system comprises of primary, secondary, and apa? Anyone can add in the article ada tak mention? Somebody can highlight?
Ultimate rule of recognition ke sir?
Yes, very good. Ultimate rule of recognition. So primary plus secondary plus the ultimate rule of recognition, which is ultimate rule of recognition is his model, looking at how we see a law is legitimate or not, whether a law is workable or not, whether the law will have substance or not, whether the system is workable or able to function properly. It is based on his model. Okay. Now behind his model, the underlying, as what Atika is asking me, the notion that morality is there, you know, and it was explained. Kalau you tengok dalam dokumen ni, hmm, mana? This is the argument here. We start with this, law and morality, whereby he being the legal positivist, you know, he is also a critical moral philosopher. At the same time, dia punya role as a critical moral philosopher, because he talks about morality. Now, where does he talk about morality? So we have this, where he takes an example that we have to treat like cases alike, different cases differently. Yeah. So that is basically the argument of morality. Okay, the core good sense of natural law, which is actually based on how we are to face that particular issue. In order for us to face a particular issue, obviously we cannot be different. We cannot say, for example, determine a case different from the other case. You know, we have to take them as alike. Meaning, if somebody kills somebody, then that issue of murdering somebody else, it is occurring throughout the society, and then take care of the judgment or trial or treatment of that particular person the same as the other person who commits that same crime. So in a way, that is moral lah, yeah, because you are doing justice in a way that you don't differentiate people from one person to another. You just go on the basis of what they have done. If they were the killers, the same treatment is going to be given to everyone. So that is more or less a foundation of natural law, because you are to be just to same to different people with the same law. You know, application of the law must throughout the whole society the same. So the argument ada lagi dekat bawah ni kan. So you look at the argument, you know, uh, ada banyak dekat sini, because the element of survival. So we have to survive. So survival is something that we natural have to accept. Okay, we are vulnerable people that we cannot survive on our own. Okay, he is in line with hopes. Okay, hopes says that we live together because we need to survive. Otherwise our life is going to be short and brutish. Yeah. So because we are going to kill each other, that is the standard, okay, of survival. So everyone wants to kill each other eventually, because everyone needs to survive. So in order to avoid that, so we actually accept that situation of moral law. In order for us to survive, then we have to submit to a certain law. Yeah, submit to a certain law, which is actually the interest is to provide peacefulness to the society. Okay, Atira boleh? It is the
Boleh sir.
foundation. It is the foundation behind his model. His model tu ada tiga lah: primary, secondary, and the ultimate. Yeah. Okay. Questions? The rest? Tengku? Tak ada. Sherin, Shalin, Putri. Tak ada siapa nak tanya. Tak ada siapa nak tanya. Kita end the session je lah. I think without the question, semua orang dah faham lah. Macam mana? Shall we? Ada. Okay, I'm still digesting. Apa yang Najah nak digest tu, Najah? Apa dia kat mana? Good, good. At least you are making a statement. For the rest, masih kosong I'm wondering whether you understand or not. Because he did mention about, ini you kena take note per second, third, fourth, fifth, third element, the fourth element, the fifth element. So because these are the things you tak tanya, I tak explain, and then I assume that while reading, obviously you understand. Yes, Alan. Tak ada langsung. Wow, very powerful. Does this mean that to a certain extent law concerns morality, but he refused to consider morality as necessary condition of validity of law? Yeah. So what do you think? He acknowledged kata law tu penting. Tapi sorry, bukan morality tu penting, but you don't create law based on morality, because morality is flexible. So people who are in power, they make law that their self interest kat situ. Ada yang dia cakap kat bawah ni. Nampak tak dia kata kat sini? The second reason Hart refusal to find that morality is a necessary condition for legal validity is moral. Hart stated, so long as the human being can gain sufficient cooperation from some to enable them to dominate others, they will use that form of law as one of their instrument. So in other words, law is being used by those who are in control, who are able to dominate others. Wicked men will enact wicked rules which others will enforce. Now he doesn't want that thing to be hijacked by these people. Okay, if the law is created by virtue of macam dia katakan kan, law in philosopher's haven, tak boleh lah, because how do we know whether that particular person is saying good or not? Contoh kita ada orang tu imam, kita ada orang padri-padri, those people who says that it is justified because they are knowledgeable in the religion, because that is their interpretation of that particular act within the religion itself, then therefore they say that it has to be implemented by virtue of law. Now that what happened during the time in European countries, Black Death, say for example, kita ambil Black Death. Black Death is whereby people died because of the plague. Okay, tapi people say that it is due because of animals, cats, black cats. So dia orang bunuh semua black cats. Why? Because of the killing of the black cats, the eradication of the germs from the mouse is not happening, because selalunya kita ada system to balance out, ataupun system of check and balance, right, from the nature. So if you remove something from the cycle of the nature, it will disrupt the whole process. So therefore, the Black Death, one of the contribution factor is about the killing of Black Death, but killing of black cats. Okay, killing of black cats is one of the contributing factor for the Black Death, the plague. Because dia orang kalau dulu you tengok movie-movie, dia orang baling najis tengah jalan je. They don't have proper sanitizing, proper jamban, tak ada. Dia orang kencing dengan berak dekat sebelah tempat tidur. So they will take the bin and then throw it out the door, which is very unhygienic lah. So rats ke apa ke, the cats will take care of it, but once they have these so-called preachers that says that we have to kill all the cats, and then make up the law that cats are to be killed, and then on top of that, people who practices certain religious nature are to be killed because they are uh, in line with the devil. So habis you allow some people of authority, in this case authority of religion, to say something about the law, and once it is formulated into law, then you cannot run away because they want to dominate others. People of religious, that is their nature actually. Macam kita sekarang lah. Kalau kita tengok PAS boleh kata sekejap dulu, waktu Nik Aziz kata orang UMNO kafir, habis ramai orang bercerai dalam family. Why? Because they believe in their leaders. And when the leaders say something, that is becoming law. So, and then you tengok Mamat bin Daud punya case, we have two prayers, within one tempat semayang, one masjid. So those are the things that happen because of allowing certain people who doesn't follow his model, then by virtue of saying that what they say is based on morality, their own interpretation of morality, habis lah. Okay, so that is what he's trying to say. I don't understand. So why Hart called it as inclusionary positivism instead of straightforward acknowledging morality to be part of legal validity? Inclusion. Inclusion tu macam mana? What do you understand? Atika?
From my understanding, inclusionary positivism includes the bare minimum of moral values, different from exclusionary positivism. For example, like John Austin, a positivist that exclude totally the moral values and principles.
Does he come to that level?
Hart ke, sir?
Hart. Kan dia ada mention about from the internal and external. Those who have read internal and external dekat mana? Ada nampak tak?
Page 683 ke sir?
683 ni must be viewed from the internal point of view. So what do you understand about internal and external that he mentioned about? The observer is outside the legal system. He or she observed the people from system regularly and observed and noted. So ni apa cerita ni?
Yang saya faham, dia macam nak kata dia kalau external tu dia macam yang dia dah lay out, tapi kalau internal tu the one yang exercise. Tapi saya tak sure kalau benda ni memang related dengan yang primary or secondary punya teori tu. Tapi basically macam nak cakap the internal point of view tu the one yang exercise the view in exercising the legal system. I'm not sure.
Kalau you tengok sini, the article is saying that it is a crucial concept in understanding legal philosophy of Hart in terms of his moral dimension, right? So kalau orang tengok external point of view, here it is mentioned from external point of view, people who observe certain legal system, they are as looking it as from the outsider. Looking from outsider macam orang alien kalau datang dekat dunia ni, dia tengok kita punya behavior of a legal system bila kita stop dekat traffic light, you know, dia akan nampak, okay, dia orang stop je lah. Betul tak? As an alien, you don't understand why we stop at traffic light when the color red, you know, the lampu tu merah. Kenapa kita berhenti? Kita berhenti because dia tak faham dia tak faham, dia cuma observe saja. So kalau you nak observe macam tu, dia nampak macam seolah-olah these people just follow that particular rule. If you look into detail, meaning from the internal of those people, looking at the people within the system itself, they start to realize, they themselves realize, why do they have to stop at the traffic light when the light is showing red? Kenapa you berhenti dekat traffic light? Is it because of the fear?
Kena saman kau tak berhenti.
Nak kena saman kan? So he believed to determine that people believe because you might be punished, but doesn't mean that dia kata kat sini kan, Hart reiterates that it is not necessary in applying the internal point of view that people want obey the law for moral reasons. You know, there are situations whereby kita follow the law for common sense. Okay, kita berhenti dekat traffic light because we don't want to be involved in an accident, not because of the police that is there maybe to summon us. We don't drive 160 km per hour at the 110 highway because we believe that we just don't want to expose ourselves to accident. You know, so the understanding of the legal system must come from people who are obeying it. It is not from some other people from outside. Say for example, DDA, kita ada Dangerous Drug Act. Certain number of weight will end up in death, okay, death penalty. But from the external point of view, people would say it is not moral because they have their own interpretation of morality. They say that we are allowed to do whatever we want. We want to take drugs. It's up to us. And then in our countries, therefore, we allow them to take drugs. But how come we have a law here in our country that restrict drug distribution? It is because we apply to the system that we believe it is just and reasonable, okay, for our society, which is actually moral. It is moral by our standard. It is not moral by somebody else's standard. So how do we know whether it is moral or not? So because you have that primary and secondary rules. We have DDA to say that you carry a certain amount, the penalty is death, that is primary. And then we have the rule of secondary, which is apa yang rule of secondary yang tiga tu? Apa yang patut ada dalam secondary rules? Anyone?
Rules of change, rules of
Change.
adjudication,
Mm-hmm.
and
Change, education and
Recognition.
recognition.
apa dia?
Rules of recognition.
Cognition.
Yes, nampak tak? So the three things that is under the definition of secondary rules is the one that is going to tie up between the secondary rules with the primary rules, making it a correct apa tu, a complete legal system. Boleh nampak, guys? Okay, and it has to be understood by virtue of the internal members of the society. It's not looking from the outside. If you are looking from outside, then therefore your judgmental, your interpretation of that society, whether the legal system is having a natural moral, natural element of morality inside or not.
Sir,
Yes.
tapi Hart dia still apply yang five dia still take into account yang five things tu kan, yang apa, practical, yang
Mm-hmm.
dekat page. Maksudnya macam even though even though dia kata not morality not necessarily related to legality macam tu ke,
Mm-hmm.
tapi dia macam still take into consideration based on the five things tu kan.
Dia mesti
Maksudnya
ada some kind of apa orang kata conformity lah, meaning some kind of structure.
okay. Tapi however macam at the end of the day, Hart with the view macam nak kata it's not really necessary juga, sebab unless macam benda tu betul-betul crucial. Macam tu
Yes,
ke?
betul. Because dia kata benda tu automatic ada dalam kita punya law. Okay, let's look at the primary law kan. We sentence people to certain punishment for doing some certain things. For example, theft. Kalau theft tu, why we limit a person rights towards doing that activity? Why? Kenapa kita halang orang daripada mencuri?
Sebab ia
Sebab
jenayah, nak elakkan daripada nak protect kita punya ni lah, property semua.
okay, rights to property is a standard of natural law or not? Protection property.
I think
Yes, kan? Kalau lah kata you tengok natural law, the right to property is a natural a principle. This natural principle is something that we apply in terms of recognizing all the laws must contain that principle, the right of a person over their own property. So, in a way, kalau you investigate, looking at any law within that legal system, if the legal system recognize the right of property of another person, then therefore the element of morality is already inside. So we don't have to go to that act in order for us to identify whether the act is moral or not.
faham saya, sebab dia macam
Kan, kita tak boleh lah pergi kepada morality just because we want to concentrate on morality, because dia perasan kata morality ni memang very very subjective. You cannot trust people when it comes to morality, but you can trust a system that is reliable, that is able to maintain certain structure. And how do you maintain certain structure? Anyone can come up with the law, but if the law it is not able to be some sort of check and balance by virtue of the secondary laws or secondary rules, then therefore the primary rules will not be able to stick. Ingat tak dia discussion yang dia cakap berkenaan dengan the ability for the courts to come in, compare Britain dengan mana? Compare Britain America. Ni dia cakap kat sini kan, page sini, page 673 ni. Okay, so they compare British dengan America because American dia ada federalism dengan doctrine of separation. So the application of that morality element ataupun the application of the secondary rules whereby Britain has no Britain Constitution as compared to America, where they have separation of power. So di sini application of the judicial Supreme Courts of Britain is able to check in terms of the recognition, rule of recognition tadi kan, dia kata rules, ultimate rule of recognition is whereby the court is able to check whatever primary rules that has been created. Kan dia bagi example dekat sini, dia kata say for example you have municipal creating a law, that law that prohibits something from happening is considered as primary laws. But if that creation of that primary laws is not in line with the federal constitution, then therefore the courts will come in and reject that so-called primary laws created by the municipal. Because whatever it is, kalau you create these primary rules, you mesti ada secondary rules in order to make the rules proper. So di situ saja kita ada, dia panggil itu apa dia panggil di di tenets Okay. Okay, ni lain. But the thing is, when it comes to primary and secondary rules, their structure is very vertical in nature. I already mentioned about vertical, right? Ni, vertical hierarchy. Vertical means there must be something that is in line in terms of the primary and secondary. So primary first, secondary is following right behind the primary. So secondary is going to check and balance the primary rules that has been created. So the court can play a role lah. The court punya role is better if you look at the British punya system, because British punya system obviously they apply parliamentary system, right? Which is parliament is supreme because it's not constitution. Yeah. So because compare dengan US, US is about constitution is supreme. However, dekat US they have this federalism and separation of power between three component. So that it is difficult for the system to be be applied lah, literally to be applied in US. The same thing dengan Malaysia lah kalau you tengok kan. So because we have separation of power in our system. So he says that the court cannot go up to the level that the court can change the interpretation, you know, of the primary rules. So the primary rules they akan stuck dekat dengan federal constitution. So the authority of the court cannot go against the federal constitution, but they are underneath the federal constitution. So dekat situ you akan nampak the application of his what they call it model is good lah, in the sense that it can be clearly seen in the British media model, British media legal system. This model can be applied to the British system. Faham tak ni?
Faham sir.
Okay.
Sebenarnya saya macam nak tanya is there anything yang kita kena explain sikit pasal Anglo-American jurisprudence tu yang dekat page 675?
675, okay.
Atas. Yang saya tengok tu volume dia rasanya.
Oh, 675, ya betul juga. 675. Okay.
Ya, Anglo-American jurisprudence. Macam kita kena emphasize apa-apa ke pasal term ni?
No need. Actually, this is because he is trying to compare and contrast.
Okay sir, thank you.
Okay, guys, the rest yang tak tanya lagi ni, faham ke tak faham? Soalan selalu datang dalam exam when it comes to Cik Nazim. Dia memang dia suka buat soalan on morality, obedience, you know. So maybe this is the core, one of the core answers that you might want to put inside your your exam, your answers. But obviously you cannot cut and paste. You have to like banyak pages ni kan. So what you need to do is to compress them. So compressing something is about your understanding. So I want you to faham. So you can formulate your own sentences. Any other questions that anyone wants to ask? Maria, Maria, does it mean certain external law? Ya, betul Maria. Memang dia tak suka lah putting morality as a standard. Morality can be behind doing its activity behind the law. Okay, it is not forefront. Morality cannot be the standard that we utilize in order for us to create law. The morality can be behind the law. Okay, so the law, we have to look at the how the law is being. The positivism kan, positivism meaning the proper acknowledgement of a valid law, which is the law have to undergo a certain process. Okay, not any law can be law. Law as positivists see it as a process, you know, a law that has gone through the process. Macam kita punya law, any statute that we have has gone through all the process. Meaning kita pergi kat parliament through bill, and then it was ada kita, you know, we argue, kita table it up, we have we vote against it, you know, for it or against it. Kita ada argument, you know, reports and things like that. It has to go through a legal, proper legal system. Soalan? Oh, sorry, debate. Perkataan yang nak cari debate. It has to go through the process of debate, lower house, upper house, and then it goes to Yang di-Pertuan Agong. So the process is there. So itu yang dinamakan positivist, meaning something that is proper. Faham Alright. So kalau tak ada apa-apa, so I assume that everyone knows lah area ni, insyaAllah. So you should be able to answer the question kalau ada. Alright. So any other questions? Tak ada So in that situation, thank you so much for coming to the session then. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Salam.
Salam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Recording ni nak bagi ke later?
Boleh
Nak.
juga.
Okay. So then everyone have to leave the session in order for me to end the recording.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.